Hi everyone! In this video I will show you how to convert Unity terrain to low poly terrain in Unity using Polaris 3.5. This is the Unity terrain migration path in the Polaris Migration Tool, and it is a simple way to turn an existing Unity terrain scene into a low poly mesh terrain workflow. To start, right-click in the hierarchy, then go to 3D Object, Polaris, and Terrain Wizard. On the main page, select Create from Existing Data. Then select Migrate from Unity Terrain to open the Unity Terrain Converter. First, add your source Unity terrains. For convenience, all Unity terrains are collected automatically when this page opens. You can also add them manually by dragging and dropping them into this box. These terrains will be used as the source for the height map, hole map, textures, trees, and grass. Once you have selected your source Unity terrains, it is time to set up the destination Polaris terrains. If you do not already have them, simply click Generate Matching Terrains. This creates one Polaris terrain for each source terrain with matching position and size, so the imported data lines up correctly. After that, choose what you want to import. You can import geometry, textures, trees, and grasses. Geometry imports the height map and hole map. Textures import the terrain texture data either as splat layers or as a baked albedo map. Trees and grasses import the vegetation already placed on the source terrains. I will leave all options enabled for the first pass so we can transfer the full Unity terrain data into Polaris. Once everything is set, click Import. The tool will transfer the selected data from Unity terrain to the Polaris terrains. The import is done. I will deactivate the source terrains for a moment, then fly through the scene so we can look at the result. Now the Unity terrain has been converted to a low poly terrain in Polaris with adaptive mesh density, and the textures, trees, and grasses have been transferred as well. Now I will do one more import pass for textures using the As Albedo Map option. Since the terrain shape, trees, and grasses are already in place, I can disable the other import options and keep only the texture import enabled. This makes the pass faster, and it lets me bake the Unity terrain textures into a single albedo map for a cleaner low-poly terrain look. When As Albedo Map is enabled, you will also see the Mip Bias setting. Mip Bias controls how much detail is sampled from the source splat textures. A higher value uses blurrier MIP levels, which helps reduce small, noisy details and gives you a flatter, cleaner, low-poly color result. Let's see how they are different. I'll set Mip Bias to 0 and import. You can see that the result is noisy because it tries to preserve micro details from the source splat textures, while the albedo map resolution is not high enough to represent them. Now I'll set Mip Bias to the maximum value and import again. Most of the micro details are removed, and it preserves only the main colors from the splat textures. This looks much better for a low-poly environment. You can run the import again and again with different settings until you get the result you want. Once you are satisfied, you can go back to the main page or simply close the wizard window. When the import is finished, I will do one more cleanup step. If the original scene used realistic or high-poly tree assets, this is a good time to swap them out for low-poly tree assets. That helps the converted terrain read much more clearly as a low-poly environment. To do that, select the tree prototype group asset shown on screen here, then start swapping the prefabs and adjusting the base scale for each prototype. That is the basic workflow. Add the Unity terrains, generate matching Polaris terrains, choose what to import, run the import, and then swap the tree assets if needed for the final low-poly look. And that is how you convert Unity terrain to low-poly terrain in Unity with Polaris. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.